What is going on, everybody? Back today on the Fins Up Network with another NFL draft player profile. Today, we are highlighting Texas linebacker DeMarvion Overshown because I'm a big fan of a handful of linebackers in this year's draft projected to come off the boards in round 2, 3, right where the Dolphins are drafting with their best picks in this year's draft. And DeMarvion Overshown, definitely one of those guys I've got my eye on. Now, obviously, we added David Long in free agency, but even with that addition, the linebacker position, it doesn't feel set. It doesn't feel finalized here as we continue to navigate through the offseason. So DeMarvion Overshown is one of a few linebackers that I definitely plan on highlighting with his own NFL draft player profile. But as always, before we get started, got to hear from you. You got thoughts on Overshown? Go ahead, drop them in the comments. Want to hear what you've got. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you are getting subscribed. Like we've been talking about every day, there's not major Dolphins news. On days there is, I'll be dropping that, thoughts on that information. Any day there's not, my goal is to get one of these individual player prospect profiles out to you guys on this channel. As always, we end up doing strengths, some weaknesses, and most importantly, overall fit with the Dolphins if that player were to get drafted by the Dolphins. So let's take a dive into DeMarvion Overshown. So he was a fifth-year senior last year while he was at Texas. He will be 23 this upcoming NFL season. Obviously a little bit older, but being a fifth-year guy, he was actually originally recruited to play safety. So recently made the switch over to linebacker, sort of new to the position, and you can see that with his size, with being a little bit raw to the position. But as you can imagine from previously playing safety, that excellent speed, athleticism to get sideline to sideline is 100% there. That quickness, that athleticism, that's something that teams in that third round range where you can see projected to go, they are going to fall in love with that. You'll fall in love with his traits if you're watching him. And honestly, if you want to see tape of just a violent hitter, a big hitter, throw on DeMarvion Overshown. This guy's got some of the best, some of the biggest hits I've seen from any linebacker in this year's draft class. Now, we've seen like big hitting safeties in the NFL in the past, nothing new to that position. Overshown is essentially one of them that just happens to be playing linebacker now. Dude brings the thunder when he's got a clear shot on a guy. Huge hits, awesome highlight package of his big hits as well. Like I said, go check that out. But that speed that he has, you see, he runs a 4.56 at the combine. But that speed that he has allows him to beat blockers to spots. When he diagnoses a play and he can beat those blockers to a spot, he is in position instantly to make the tackle with one of his big hits. But it also allows him to track down a play from behind, like on a stretch run play before the runner can get around that tackle to get to the outside. His speed, if he could diagnose that play, is unbelievable. He can track down those running backs. And then if you look at him in coverage, obviously he's got an advantage over most linebackers due to that previous history as a safety, but he drops into zone coverage very well. He's got the speed, he's got the athleticism to hang with those running backs and tight ends. But if you're looking at his weaknesses, areas that he can improve, it's kind of despite that speed and athleticism that he has, where he can be a little bit slow as it's more of the mental side. It's the diagnosing of plays. And when that happens to a guy like Overshown, a linebacker that's a little bit historically undersized at the position, you'll see the offensive lineman then beat him to the spot. And then basically he's out of position. The lineman can kind of just wipe him out of the play. And then he's not really, once he is out of position, that ability to shed blocks isn't really there. He's not outright terrible at it, but he doesn't have it's not a strength to his game like a guy like Jack Campbell, one of the bigger linebackers who is pretty damn good at shedding blocks. Overshown isn't that kind of guy. But if you can get him a little bit stronger, added a little bit of weight in the NFL, and just outright just being a little bit quicker at diagnosing those run plays, that could definitely help him out at the next level. But like I said, most importantly, if you're talking about fit with the Dolphins, so we know the Dolphins added David Long, they re-signed Duke Riley, and then you're going to pair those guys basically with what? Jerome Baker, Channing Tindall. That's your team's core linebackers. And I'm not counting the guys that are listed at linebacker, but I see more as edge rushers. But even despite those ads and the re-signs, I think personally there's a good chance Miami might target linebacker in rounds 2, in rounds 3, if the right guy were to be available. Because at this point in time, it's my assumption that Miami rolls with Baker and Long kind of in the middle, patrolling the middle. And then you got Phillips, you got Chubb, those kind of guys on the edge. So guys like Duke Riley, guys like Channing Tindall, and then if you draft a linebacker like Overshown, they would likely begin the season more as backup depth types of pieces. However, based on some of the things that we've heard about Vic Fangio so far, and the things I'm kind of talking about, like him getting on the horn and being the one to talk to a guy like Andrew Van Ginkel, because Van Ginkel was talking with the Patriots, talking with the Raiders, at least teams that we were confirmed of. And it was Vic Fangio basically saying, you know what, you'll have a role on this team. It may not look like you will based on some of the moves that we've made, but he's got a plan in place for some of these guys. So it almost looks like, from what we've heard about Vic Fangio so far, he's going to have different defensive packages. He's going to have different roles for these players, at least the players that he's anticipating giving snaps to in 2023. So it's probably not going to be just Jerome Baker and just David Long patrolling the middle. There's likely that guys that don't have those last names are going to be playing on a somewhat regular basis in this Vic Fangio-led defense. So there's definitely a role for these kind of guys as well moving forward. But that's my quick overview on Overshown. But like I said, if you've got any thoughts on the prospect, go ahead, drop them in the comments. Curious to see what you've got in your mind regarding potential linebacker in rounds 2 or 3 for the Miami Dolphins. Like I said, get subscribed if you haven't already. I will be back every day. There's not major Dolphins news. Be doing another prospect leading up to the NFL draft. But that's what I've got for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, fins up.